We have a truly momentous week of football ahead of us. In the NFL, we've got football on 4 of the next 5 days: Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. And in college football, it is rivalry week, which means we have huge matchups between the likes of Ohio State and Michigan, Bama and Auburn, Vandy and Tennessee, even Georgia against my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Huge playoff implications in both college and in the NFL. And of course, it is Thanksgiving week, so it's fitting that we are going to be doing then a mock draft with trades. For the first time this season, we're going to do it with trades. I'm grateful to everyone that watches and supports my content, so I'm going to give back to you a mock draft with trades. Who doesn't love it? We've got 2 teams at the top who don't need a quarterback and teams behind them that do need a quarterback. So it's fitting now at this point that we start introducing those trades. Again, I'm very grateful to everyone that supports this channel. It does not go unappreciated. But if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to support the channel. It's free and easy. And make sure you like the video and comment. It pushes it out to other draft fans. And we are going to be making lots more draft content on this channel. And you do not want to be missing out. So subscribe, like, comment right now. But let's get into it. The Tennessee Titans are first on the board at the moment. And with Cam Ward, they do not need a quarterback. I will be a Cam Ward defender till I'm blue in the face this season. He is genuinely showing some really high flashes with what I would argue is the worst supporting cast in the league. Kamara DK as the best wide receiver, Alec Amano as the second best. That's an absolute nightmare. It's all gone belly up in Tennessee. Head coach has been fired weeks ago. I think Cam Ward is the guy. I think he's shown a lot of promise. They need a lot of pieces, offensive line, receiver, defense even. So I think if this is how the draft pans out, they're going to be taking calls to trade down, obviously. And with teams like the Jets, the Raiders, the Browns, Shedeur Sanders fans, don't come for me. We'll include the Browns. We could include the Cardinals, maybe even the Dolphins. All of these teams looking for quarterbacks. Who's going to be trading up then? Let's have a look. If I'm the New York Jets, I don't think I'm going to be trading up in this draft. And yes, technically they're picking at 4 right now. So if, say, 2 quarterback needy teams jump them and then the Saints also take a quarterback, they are going to be left high and dry. But they have so many draft picks. And I don't really know if you want to go all in on one of these guys right now. So I'm going to have then the Raiders jumping up from 5 or the Browns. If I'm the Browns, let's look then at what it's going to cost, basically. It's going to cost, if we're looking at old trades, I've got a list of them here. In the last 15 years, trades that involve the first or the second overall pick. The Redskins, the then Redskins, traded from 6 to 2 with the Rams. That cost them 3 firsts and a second. The eventual pick there was RG3. The context is quite important there. The Rams traded from 15 to 1, infamously for Jared Goff in 2016 with the Titans. That cost 2 firsts, a second, and a third. The Eagles traded from 8 to 2 with the Browns. That cost them 2 firsts, a third, a second. The Bears from 3 to 2 cost them a first. Panthers from 9 to 1 essentially cost them 3 firsts with DJ Moore. Basically what I'm getting at is it's going to take multiple firsts to trade up at this point to first overall. Whether you're the Jets, the Raiders, the Browns, or anyone else after that, you're looking at a minimum of 2 first-round picks. If I'm the Jets, I kind of don't need to spend those picks right now. In an ideal world, I will see if a quarterback falls to me. I'm not mad on taking one this year. I like these guys, don't get me wrong. Do I feel like all of them are surefire things? Am I willing to trade up from Fernando Mendoza if I'm the Jets? I don't think so. They're on a 2-year rebuild. I think the Raiders are going to have to get results faster. The Browns are going to have to get results faster. So let's have the Raiders trading up with the Tennessee Titans. It will cost them, obviously, the 5th. It will cost them a first-round pick next year. We don't need to get into the semantics of it. It's going to cost multiple firsts. The Raiders are now on the clock. And with that, I'm going to go for Dante Moore from Oregon. Now, Moore has shot up my draft board after a fantastic performance this week. And he's been a huge riser this year generally. Do I think he will declare? At the moment, he has not said he's not going to. He's not said he is either. So I'm going to treat him as an option in this draft. The reason why I'm going to draft Dante Moore there is because if we look at the quarterbacks that are succeeding at the moment in the NFL, obviously the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen historically, Drake May this year, these are guys that generally are physical freaks. They have the physical traits. Out of Fernando Mendoza, out of Ty Simpson, Dante Moore is definitely the traitsiest quarterback of them. Yes, he's shown less kind of on tape, I would argue, than Fernando Mendoza, who's been very solid, but Mendoza's not a gunslinger. If I'm taking a quarterback at one, personally, I want them to be that type of quarterback that I'm like, right, you can be that franchise guy. If we're going to go toe-to-toe with a Lamar Jackson, a Patrick Mahomes, a Drake May, whoever in the playoffs, you can get something done. And Dante Moore, I think, has shown this year that he has that kind of potential. Has he realized that week after week? No, definitely not. He's still very young, a first-year starter. He's only 20 years old at the moment, but I think he can fill out his frame. I think he can continue to develop. And he's just got the better traits. I think he could play at like 225 pounds, and that counts for a lot. So we're going to take Dante Moore. The Giants at 2, obviously also don't need a quarterback. Jackson Dart is likely going to be their guy going forward, and rightly so. He's been a lot better than I thought he would be. So then, who is going to trade up now? It's got to be the Browns. Or could it be the Cardinals from 9 to move on from Kyler Murray? You know what? Let's say, I'm going to say that the Cardinals are going to get aggressive here. And they are going to, I think that Gannon's going to be out. I think that Monty Austin-Fort, the general manager, has actually been pretty good. I think this is kind of going to be his last chance at going for it. Not really worked out with Kyler. I think that's destined for a separation. Maybe one day we'll do a trade with Kyler Murray in this mock draft. Not today, though. I'm going to have the Arizona Cardinals trading up from 9. And looking back on previous years, what's the closest one to that? For the Eagles trading from 8 to 2 with the Browns, that cost them 2 firsts, a third, a fourth, and a second. So a big haul, but the Cardinals, I think, are at the point where they're just done with being mid. Let's get them some firepower. I thought I messed up a pick there for a moment. Let's get them some firepower. It will cost them more than what I'm putting on here. As I said, it will be multiple firsts and change. We're going to force it through, though. The Cardinals are now on the board. And I think at this point, this is where Fernando Mendoza is going to come off the board for me. Given the situation that Fernando Mendoza is in with the likes of Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, that is a ready-made offense, a good offensive line as well in Arizona, I would argue. They spent a lot of draft capital on that in recent years. I like what they've got there. That's a perfect position for someone like Fernando Mendoza. You basically need a better Jacoby Brissett, really. He's had more success than Kyler Murray because he's been able to distribute the ball to his playmakers. Fernando Mendoza is going to be able to do that and then some. He's so tough. He's going to hang in the pocket. Not like Kyler, who's going to bail out the back of it. He is just constantly making throws with defenders in his grill. That surgical game-winning drive against Penn State in Happy Valley, really tough environment. That wasn't a fantastic game from Mendoza, but it was ultimately an unbelievable drive. That's what you want from a quarterback that you're going to take second overall. Yes, it's a big remove from Kyler Murray athletically, but I just think sometimes, almost the opposite of Dante Moore, that if we kind of look at the quarterback argument from the other perspective of, yes, Drake May, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, these guys are running the league. But also, so are the likes of Jared Goff in their own way. They are these quarterbacks that are the distributors, the game managers, and the Lions are doing damn well with Jared Goff in a relatively similar position with great playmakers, a good offensive line, a strong head coach. Who knows who their head coach is going to be if Gannon's fired. But I just think that Mendoza could be that kind of slightly more souped up Jared Goff, like a little bit more about him than that, but just a very high floor guy. And when you've got those playmakers in Arizona, I think that counts for quite a lot. The Saints now at 3, and here is the question. Are you going to feel all right with Tyler Shook? You know what? As a Shook denier, he's looked okay. And are you just going to take the picks? Because the Browns are going to come knocking here, I think. Now, Shedeur Sanders, for context, when I'm recording this, has had one career start. First Browns quarterback, I think, in a decade or so to win in his first start as a Browns quarterback. Counts for a lot. The throw he made to Isaiah Bond, great throw. He was making some nice throws. I'm not a Shedeur Sanders truther. I think that game was fine, ultimately. Good throws, bad throws. It's his first start. I'm not going to read too much into it either way. Is Sanders going to be the guy? Do you feel good on passing on a quarterback for Shedeur Sanders this year? Right now, I'm going to say no. It's the same with Tyler Shook, though, as well, for the Saints. Oh, this is tricky. This is tricky. Do the Saints, if I'm the Saints right now and I'm picking at 3 and the Browns call me with what is going to be, well, hang on. The Browns, no, it's the Jags that don't have their first round pick. Let's have a look. What do the Browns have? Do they have all their picks? Yeah, okay, cool. They do. I probably feel better about Shook than I do about Shadur Sanders. Let's do it. The Browns are going to trade up. They're going to move on from Shadur Sanders. Shadur, truth is, there's no conspiracy theory here. I'm just playing out a scenario. Okay, I just think it's more likely that he's not the guy than he is. We'll know more later, but right now I'm working off what I'm working off. The Browns trade up. The Saints, I think they need to kind of restock, take the picks on offer here. The Browns aren't going to be a good team. That'll be a high pick next year anyway. Let's do it. This is going to be Ty Simpson from Alabama, my 4th-ranked player. He got against Oklahoma. It happens. It was a better defense. That was 2 weeks ago. It was a better defense. The offensive line really didn't help him. Bad offensive line in Cleveland, which is not great for someone like a Ty Simpson, I think, who is a pocket passer, not overly athletic. But he is very cerebral, can make checks at the line of scrimmage, can nullify the blitz. I think he is I'm not saying that Shadur Sanders isn't mature, guys. For God's sake, this is ridiculous. I'm just trying not to get cancelled by those Shadur Sanders truthers. But Simpson is that kind of mature franchise quarterback that I could see bringing a bit of stability to the Browns, which I think they really, really do need. They're going to have a new head coach, I imagine. Stefanski's going to be out. The new regime might want to get their guy. We're taking Ty Simpson here. That leaves the Jets at 4. And we are going to take... who are the Jets going to take then? It's a choice now, I think. Are we just going to kind of go for talent? It's kind of a great spot to be in. You get your pick of the non-quarterbacks. You can go Ruben Bane. You can go Caleb Downs. You can go Arvell Reese. I'm looking at them. Then I'm also looking at the likes of... maybe not a McCoy Lemon because Garrett Wilson's quite similar, but maybe a Carnell Tate. I quite like the wide receiver class. I think you can get a wide receiver later in the draft. Let's then go big here. And let's take him. I think the Jets' defensive line on the edge is still pretty decent. I don't think edge is a need. But then you just go with the better player. For me right now, it's between Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese. But they need off-ball linebacker. You can get that. Let's just take, in my opinion, the most talented player in this draft class, and that is Caleb Downs. He's been so damn good for basically 3 years now. He is the smartest player in this class, in my opinion. Yes, he's a safety, but I think he's going to be basically a sure thing. He's the 2nd-ranked player on my big board. His game IQ is off the charts. He is basically the quarterback of the defense. And safety for a team that's like the Jets, is it a need? No, but again, I just think you take the talent. How high would you draft someone like Kyle Hamilton? Honestly, basically around here. Yeah, it's a bit early, but I think you take the talent. The Titans, they need offensive line. Not a year to need offensive line. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They are going to go with... I think the Titans need a bit more of a sure thing. We're going to take Ruben Bane here. I personally have Arvell Reese ranked higher, but Ruben Bane is that ready-made pass rusher who has shown that he's been able to do it now for 2 years in college. He's produced at a really high level this year. He's got that tenacious mentality to just get after the ball carrier. And the Titans really don't have the option, I think, or the luxury to go for someone like an Arvell Reese and hope they develop into what Ruben Bane is right now. I think that Arvell Reese's ceiling is higher, but Ruben Bane is ready to play day one. I think the Titans have to take a guy like that because that defense, just with Jeffrey Simmons on the interior, you get Ruben Bane on the edge, you are collapsing a lot of pockets and you are getting a lot of results defensively. Do they need other things like wide receiver? Yes. Again, though, I think it's a strong receiver class. I'm going to do a 2-round mock draft later. Subscribe if you don't want to miss that. We can see what they'll get in the second round. But right now, you've got to take the value. You've got to take the talent, Ruben Bane. The Saints, then, I think this team is in a position where they can draft someone like an Arvell Reese. I think he is just so strong. Yes, he doesn't play full-time at edge. He's not like the Micah Parsons, Abdul Carter mold in the sense that, yes, he's moved from off-ball linebacker that can kind of play some edge, but the difference between Parsons and Carter compared to Reese is that those two guys properly moved to the edge in their final year of college. Arvell Reese is still splitting his time essentially 50-50 between off-ball linebacker and edge defender. So it's not a sure thing. I do think the talent and the potential are otherworldly. He's so strong. He's so athletic. He's running through 300-plus pound offensive linemen every single week, genuinely week in, week out. His tape is some of the best tape I've in this class, I think. It's just so electric. He is so dynamic, great speed to power, and that power plays in the NFL. Yes, he's inexperienced. I would play him full-time at edge. I would take the licks that will come with developing that. We've seen it to a degree with Abdul Carter. He's not really been used right, though. But nevertheless, Arvell Reese to the Saints. Let him rebuild that defense. The Commanders at 7. And I think this is where we can start looking at the receiver class, because the Commanders just haven't had the talent offensively or defensively. But edge, I don't love at this value. Guard, I definitely don't love at this value. And defensive back, again, I also don't really love. So we're going to go for the wide receivers here. Pair them with Scary Terry, who is, getting on now. I think he's pushing 30. Not like me. What's a good compliment to Scary Terry? He's quite a good deep threat. So maybe not a Carnell Tate. Let's go with currently my wide receiver 1 in Mekhi Lemon, a Blitnikoff finalist, my 7th ranked player. He had a down game this weekend against Oregon, 34 yards he was held to, but throughout this year, he has consistently been one of the best receivers in college football. I mean, the fact that he's in the Blitnikoff with the likes of Jeremiah Smith shows just how good this guy is. He's dynamic, he's 5'11", 195 pounds, so a bit lighter, but the guys that are dominating in the NFL right now aren't those freak athletes. It is the likes of the Amon-Ra's, the Puka Nakuas. It is the guys that can basically just get the ball. And Mekhi Lemon gets the ball. He's strong at the catch point. He went 4 for 4 in contested catches against Iowa 2 weeks ago. 10 for 10 on receptions. Huge game. That's wide receiver 1 potential. Not a wide receiver 1A because of that height and that build. But with Scary Terry as the other wide receiver 1 there, I like that pairing. The Bengals, goodness gracious me. They need edge, but it's not really a fantastic edge class. David Baylor would be the next on my board, but he's not just a designated pass rusher, but he's not the kind of dominant edge that you're looking for, but it's not really in this draft anyway, barring Arvell Reese and Ruben Bane Jr. Not going interior offensive line here, obviously, so we're just going to go best player available. Is that Peter Woods? I really don't love Peter Woods. He's my 10th ranked player, but tricky. They could go Keldrick Faulk. It's early at 8 for me. Let's look at who I've got on my board. The top guys have all gone. Quarterbacks are obviously gone, and there is rumors that Joe Burrow could be out. But anyway, he's going to stay here for now. Cornerback. No. This is ugly for the Bengals right here. This is a really... Is anyone going to trade up for anyone left on the board? I don't think so. Not at this early stage. Damn. Peter Woods? All right, I'm going to take Peter Woods. As you can see, I really don't feel good about that. Peter Woods is the 10th ranked player on my big board, but I think I haven't really chopped things around for a few weeks now, so I don't think he's going to be at 10 when it's all said and done by the end of the season. But he was really talented last year. He could inject some life into this defense, which desperately needs it. Who knows what's going to happen with Shamar Stewart? He's obviously been injured for the last few weeks. Who knows what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson? I think you take Peter Woods, hope he can be the Peter Woods of old, and just cross your fingers, basically, the Bengals, because the board has fallen very badly for them here. Very badly. The Giants, so they traded back, got extra draft capital, and you know what? This is kind of perfect for them. I think they need wide receiver really damn badly. Wan'Dale Robinson, recently, to his credit, has shown that he can be the guy, but we know more about Wan'Dale Robinson not being the guy than being the guy. So I'm looking at Jordan Tyson. I'm looking at Carnell Tate. Tackle, it's Spencer Fano got carted off. I actually don't know what the update is on that, but my assumption is that it's not looking great. I probably wouldn't draft him at 9 anyway. Oh no, I know what I'm gonna do here. Again, Wan'Dale, I feel a bit better about him now. Obviously, you got Malik Neighbors. I would draft a wide receiver because I think you do need another option with Wan'Dale and with Neighbors. But again, I think we can get that later. Wide receiver 2 at 9 is a bit rich. Let's take German McCoy, who has been injured this year, but even with his injury, could still be the first cornerback off the board. He had that cornerback 1 profile coming into this year. Unfortunately, had an ACL injury, I think in spring or training camp or something like that. But he'll be fully healthy. He'll be able to do the combine, and I think he's going to show out and rise up draft boards. It's a shame that everyone else has risen and he's not been able to. But I think German McCoy is a name that we're going to come back to in a few weeks. So the Giant secondary this year have been picked apart. So I actually really like that pick. German McCoy, lockdown cornerback, Deontay Banks, see ya. The Dolphins, are they going to stick with Tua? Well, they don't really have a choice, do they? This has to be a wide receiver here. What I like in my wide receiver rooms is a diversification of skill sets. Do Jordan Tyson and and Jalen Waddle kind of have the same skill set? At the moment, I've got Tyson and Tate literally right next to each other. So for me, that's not really an issue. It's more about the fit. Let's go with Jordan Tyson here. I think that is going to work better. He moves really well. He has that movement skills that's slightly reminiscent of Justin Jefferson, just that kind of real suddenness. He's a bit taller at 6'2", 210, so he's got kind of more of that not physicality, but he's got more of that build, unlike someone like Mekhi Lemon. But I think that him with Jalen Waddle is going to be a really nice pairing. And look, is R2 and Mike McDaniel's going to stay? I kind of think they are. But yeah, if this is how the draft board falls and the quarterback doesn't fall in their lap, I think you ought to do it. Wow, the Falcons picking at 11 with the Rams having that pick. This is a house money pick right here, and I do think this is going to be Mansour Delane. The Rams defense has been really good this year under Chris Shula, defensive line in particular, and Emmanuel Forbes has also genuinely looked really good. I was a huge Emmanuel Forbes hater. Really valuable lesson to show that we know about quarterbacks being able to succeed outside of where they were drafted. Clearly, Emmanuel Forbes is doing that as well. But if you have Mansour Delane and Forbes is your CB2, suddenly you feel a hell of a lot better about that whole situation. And I think that Emmanuel Forbes, despite playing really well at the moment, I'm still not completely sold on him being someone that you want to trust kind of game in, game out, rep in, rep out. The Vikings at 12. Shame they're not picking at 9. So this is what you get here, guys. This is the kind of... Anyway, the Vikings at 12. Obviously, JJ McCarthy is going really badly, let's just say, really badly at the moment. He's looking like Zach Wilson out there, which, yeah, ugly stuff. Their quarterback problems are probably not going to be solved by Max Brosma, the rookie from Minnesota, but look, I don't really think that the Vikings' answer is to bring in another rookie quarterback like someone like Lenora Sellers, who is even more flawed than JJ McCarthy is even now. They're going to go down the veteran quarterback route if that is their play. So then what do they need? Is this Jeremiah Love? I think, you know what? I think it's going to be Jeremiah Love. They kind of have been lacking. They've got Justin Jefferson. They've got Jordan Addison, but they have been lacking that real dynamic home run threat hitter from the running back position. And Jeremiah Love in this class is one of the best players in this class. One of the surest things. Really good running back prospect. Not quite in the mold for me personally, at least, as a like a Bijan, more of like a Jahmyr Gibbs kind of level of prospect. And look, Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely balling out right now. Doesn't quite have that same speed, but he's a little bit bigger, a little bit more of a tackle breaker, loves a hurdle. Jahmyr Gibbs is a bit more of that shifty guy. But just in terms of the level of prospect there, Jeremiah Love to the Vikings. Not going to play quarterback, but maybe they can run the ball better. The Cowboys. I can never draft right for the Cowboys. Every mock draft they do, they need offensive line, they need defense. They obviously have Quinnen Williams. He's played brilliantly. Do they want to continue to bolster their defensive line? They do have 2 picks in this draft, courtesy of the Green Bay Packers. You know what? Let's take Keldrick Faulk, a guy that can play interior, can play on the edge. He's 6'6", an absolute monster. He's 285 pounds. Just kind of pick a position for him. I don't usually love the tweeners, but I think the way the Cowboys' defensive line is trending, I think you just kind of want to get talent on there. And Faulk is uber talented, really only scratching the surface of that, and bolsters that defensive line, which they need. The Panthers at 14. This is going to be a wide receiver. I love Tetairoa McMillan. But Carnell Tate in this wide receiver room as a true deep threat is a brilliant pairing. I love Carnell Tate. I'm going to be waxing lyrical about him all draft season. He's injured, so he's missed a few games. But before his injury, when he was healthy, he was averaging 18.2 yards per reception. His ability to get open deep down the field is genuinely otherworldly. Does that pair with Bryce Young's quarterback style? No, but maybe it's just because they haven't had that guy on their roster. I don't know, but I'm going to take the talent of Carnell Tate. Who knows what's happening with Bryce Young? Who knows what's happening with Dave Canales? But I think Carnell Tate is one of the best players in this class. I think he's such a good vertical threat. I think he's shown flashes of yards after the catch ability. He can make the special catches in double coverage deep down the field. He's a field flipper. I'm going to take him. Him and Tet McMillan, or T-Mac rather. Love that. The Chiefs at 15. Is this the updated draft board? I really hope it is. At 15. Yeah, no, it makes sense. The Texans have one more win and they're at 17, so that makes sense. The Chiefs at 15. They need running back, but this is not a 2 running back in the first round kind of draft. I don't even know if it's a 2 in the first 50 picks kind of draft. What are they going to go with? Are they going to go with the talent of David Bailey? Chris Jones has started to look like Chris Jones of old suddenly, which is good. That's encouraging. That's what this team needs. Cornerbacks, I don't love at this value right now. Avion Terrell's not a guy that I love in the first. Brandon Cisse is more of a later round cornerback for me. Yeah, let's take David Bailey. I mean, David Bailey is currently the most productive pass rusher in college football. He has an insane amount of pressures. Last time I checked, it was 71. It might be even higher than that now. 6'3", 250. A bit on the lighter side. Not going to be that alpha edge. But in a world where someone like a Donovan Ezaraku and Eliatu Latu are suddenly looking really good as more kind of polished finesse pass rushers, and I do love those guys, then someone like a David Bailey, who has produced on a good team, at a really high level, looked really good at Stanford last year. He was my edge 5 coming into this year, so someone that I've been already aware of. He is just really good. He leads the nation in pressures comfortably. He's had multiple games where he's looked unblockable, and with Chris Jones on the interior, it makes your life a hell of a lot easier. The Steelers. As a Will Howard truther, let's see what Will Howard's got, guys. Let's see what Will Howard's got. I think, you know what? I am going to go with, this might be a bit controversial, but I'm going to go with Casey Concepcion here. And that is because he's my 16th ranked player, so perfectly in line there. Might be a bit early for some people, not for me. He is just a blur. This guy's legs are like moving like a blur, like road runners in that cartoon. He is just playing at 1.5 speed. Everyone else is just moving slower than he is. He's so dynamic. He's so fast as a route runner. He's an absolute nightmare to cover. You can almost see the cornerbacks or the defensive backs panicking when he's running at them full tilt. Yes, he's smaller. Yes, he's lighter, 5'11", 190 pounds. But a little bit like Ladd McConkey, in a kind of similar vein, he's not as fast as Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey is nowhere near as fast as Casey Concepcion. But the shiftiness and the agility, you can't cover what you can't touch. You can't press what you can't touch. And Casey Concepcion has had one of the highest press rates in the country at the college football level. And he's just beating press week in, week out. Him and DK Metcalf, I love that pairing. That's like a buddy cop kind of pairing. The Texans at 17. This has to be offensive line. I'm annoyed that I don't know what's happened with Spencer Fano, just because he was carted off from the game the other day. I'm going to look it up right. We're going to do it live. Injury. What's the update? Ruled Utah's top football receiver. Okay, I don't know. Either way, I don't know what that injury is. Let's just say he will be healthy for the season. If he is, I think this is an absolute home run pick from the Texans. We're in a position where we have to draft offensive line, and Spencer Fano is the best one, in my opinion. The other next one that I would have been looking at is Francis Mauigoa from Miami. Proctor I don't love. A lot of people think Mauigoa is more of a guard anyway, so let's take Spencer Fano. People say that about Spencer Fano as well. Spencer Fano, healthy or not, remains to be seen for me. But he is the OT1, and the Texans, I imagine, will take whoever the OT1 is when it falls to them. The Lions at 18. I've done this. The interior offensive line class is really good this year. It's really good. They need a defensive interior. I think you can kind of get someone like a Dominique Orange later. I do like Amari Washington. It's a bit early for him for me, though. Cornerback, again, it's a little early on the cornerbacks. Maybe they like Avion Terrell. I'm personally not a huge Avion Terrell guy. So I'm going to look at the interior. They need... Jennings Dunker is someone that I love, but I'm going to go for one of the surest things in this class, in my opinion. Well, these two guys right here really are. Yane and Pregnon. We're going to take Yane from Penn State. Absolute brick wall of a player. Had experience playing all three interior offensive line positions. You can plug him and play him wherever the hell you need him. He's a little bit like this year's Grey Zabel, in my opinion. Not quite as good as Grey Zabel, who I'd have definitely taken at 18. This is a bit early for Yane for me here. But the Lions love these kind of guys. They love their maulers, buy into the system, buy into the product. And the results on the field speak for themselves. If they bolster their offensive line, keep protecting Jared Goff, keep running the ball with Jameer Gibbs and Dave Montgomery, this team's going to keep having results. 19, the Ravens, they are shooting up this draft board. At one point, they were picking 3rd overall, I believe. So far cry from when they were at the beginning of this season. They also need wide receiver. They also need guard. I think this, with how Daniel Uiagalelei is playing, they need defensive line as well. Not really. I think we're also going to go... We're going to take Mawanoa. We're going to take Mawanoa. We're going to play him at guard. He can play tackle if we need to. We can just get our best 5 guys on the field with Mawanoa. He is someone that I don't feel too strongly about. I'm not hugely high on him, but this is a good range for him to go in. Fits, especially with what the Ravens need. They need to bolster that offensive line. They need to kind of get back to that identity. They're struggling to run this ball this year. Obviously, they've had offensive woes with Lamar Jackson out, but Mawanoa is a good fit there, I think. The Bucs at 20. Kenyon Sadiq had a really big game. And I've said it before and I will say it again. I think Kenyon Sadiq is an unreal PR team because people talk about Kenyon Sadiq like he's a Tyler Warren, like he's a Brock Bowers, like he's even a Colston Loveland. And I don't think he's that at all. I think he's more of a Dalton Kincaid type. Would you take Dalton Kincaid at 20 now, knowing what you know about Kincaid? I don't know, but this team does need a receiving tight end threat. They've obviously got Egbuka. We can let's go with Kenyon Sadiq there. Did have a really good game. Someone I'm not completely sold on just yet. We'll see how it gets closer to the time. The Bills. Ooh. I'm going to go with Sonny Styles here for the Bills. A linebacker that they need. He's good against the run. He's good in coverage. Converted safety. He is a player that is 14 on my big board. He would be LB1 in any other class, 6'5", 250. He's made upwards of 50 tackles this season and has not missed a single one. He's a do-it-all linebacker, great athlete, aggressive when coming downhill and engaging with blocks. He's calm when dropping back into coverage. I just think he's what the Bills' defense needs, which is kind of a do-it-all linebacker, if I'm honest with you. The Browns are their second pick. They got the Jags pick. And in their first round pick with the Browns, we took Ty Simpson. So we've got our quarterback. This kind of has to be offensive line at this point. And I know who we're going to go with. Someone that's probably going to play more on the interior, but we need to bolster this offensive line badly. And we're going to go with Jennings Dunker, the tackle from Iowa. He's a tackle from Iowa. I think we're all imagining the same person right now. Ginger guy, mullet, mustache, huge, mauler. Give me him. He's not going to be a tackle at the next level. He will play on the interior. But look, he can play tackle for you in a pinch. He's going to make sure the interior of that offensive line is better. And that's what this new quarterback in Ty Simpson needs. The 49ers at 23. Another interior offensive lineman? Who we got left on the board? Caden Proctor, I don't think that's a scheme fit at all with what they want to run. What's the pure... Yeah, Pregnon. Yeah, let's go with Emmanuel Pregnon. I don't know if it's French, Pregnon, or Pregnon. The Americans kind of pick and choose. So I'll work out what that is close to the draft time. I don't like getting these guys' name wrong. I'm sorry, Emmanuel. I will learn your name or learn how it's pronounced. But that makes a lot of sense. He's a really good interior offensive lineman. He's played really well this year for Oregon. He's going to make the interior better for the 49ers. And that's also what this team has kind of been needing. At the moment, it's Christian McCaffrey doing heroics, who is leading in, rush attempts? He's definitely leading in receptions, which is crazy considering he's a running back. But it's because this team has not really been able to run the ball, at least up the middle, that well this year. And someone like Emmanuel Pregnon is going to make that a hell of a lot easier. The Cowboys with their second first-round pick, courtesy of the Giants, the Packers with the Micah Parsons trade. They're at 24. Their first-round pick was Keldrick Faulk. Do I go with the linebacker here now and say it like a CJ Allen, or do we go for like a Caleb? Oh no, we've already got interior. Let's go. I think let's then take CJ Allen here, the linebacker from Georgia. A little bit early, but I think the fit works really nicely. He's been so good against the run this year. He's able to chase down someone like a DJ Lagway, a super athletic quarterback, or a wide receiver on a jet sweep. He's got that athleticism, he's got that sideline ability, but he is a downhill thumper of a linebacker. The Bulldogs defense don't have those stables of first round draft picks on the defensive line this year, but they do have CJ Allen, and that's why they've been pretty good against the run. Pass, not so much, but CJ Allen against the run. You've got Keldrick Faulk, you've got CJ Allen, you've got Quinn and Williams. That defense, surely Cowboys fans. Are we happy? Are we happy? Let me know in the comments. The Chargers at 25. Ooh. A lot of interior offensive line needs here. Cassius Howell has sub 31-inch arms verified, which is not good for an NFL pass rusher. It's not a precursor to success or failure, but not having that physical trait of having longer arms when you got, offensive linemen that have wings, that have vines for arms, having verified sub 31. Yeah, that is a real problem. He's produced really well. He's could win an award this year as one of the best defensive players. I just don't think you're going to draft a guy in the first round with sub 31-inch arms. I just don't think that's going to happen from the edge position. So what are we going to look for instead then? This could be now where someone like, what's his name? Where someone like a TJ Parker comes off the board. He had his best game of the season a few weeks ago. Looked slightly like the TJ Parker of old. He's tumbled down my draft board. More of a day 2 player for me right now. But do you kind of take the swing on potentially having a star in TJ Parker? Because he looked like that last year. The whole Clemson team has been poor. Let's take the swing. Let's take the swing with TJ Parker. The Bears. The Bears. Obviously, Jordan Love, Jeremiah Love, if he was on the board. This team, I think, definitely has to go defense at this point. I think it probably has to be defensive line. I do quite like Caleb Banks here. I do quite like Amari Washington. I also, on the edge, I quite like the other Oregon edge defender. Where is he? I like Mateo Uiagalelei. Let's look at my board. Let's stick to my board here. Let's not go too crazy. Who have I got next on my board? Keldrick Faulk's gone. David Bailey's gone. Cassius Howell, we're not drafting here. I've got Mateo Uiagalelei. So let's go Mateo Uiagalelei, another Oregon player here, 6'5", 270. He's got over 30 pressures, over 4 sacks, smooth and fluid for a larger guy. Got a good cross chop move. I think he's got the potential to develop. At 26 to get a guy with a higher ceiling and a pretty high floor. I like that for the Bears. At 27, the Seahawks. I think this is going to be cornerback, right? Because I think them and who is it? It's not Devon Witherspoon. It's the other guy. Their other cornerback kind of destined to part, it seems. Brandon Cisse has got absolute wheels. Avian Terrell, I mean, someone like a Mike McDonald might love what Avian Terrell does with his force fumbling ability, plays above his weight. I think Avian Terrell will ultimately be a first-round pick, and I can see someone like Mike McDonald really wanting that on his defense. Let's go with Avian Terrell. The Jets with their second first-round pick. Bearing in mind that with the Jets, we already took Caleb Downs. We did not take a quarterback. It could be argued that we could take someone like Lenora Sellers, see what he's got for a year, and then draft another quarterback next year because we've still got all of the draft capital that we need. However, when I had... oh my God, what's his name? Why have I completely blanked on his name? When I had PFF guy, oh my God, what's his name? Max Chadwick. Sorry, Max. When I had friend of the show, Max Chadwick, on the channel last week to do a mock draft, I said the same thing, and he made a very good rebuttal, which was that Lenora Sellers is as a quarterback that's going to need at least a year for you to see what you've got in him. And I think that drafting him would actually be a bit of a waste. I would rather take a swing if I'm the Jets, right, later in the draft, on maybe a Garrett Nussmeier, on maybe a John Mateer if he declares, on maybe a Cade Klubnik, on a Drew Allen maybe as a UDFA. I don't know. But it's going to be a very deep quarterback class, and I think it's going to be one where a weird fourth-round quarterback is actually going to play very well, because we know that Garrett Nussmeier can play. He's not going to be a day one guy. None of these guys are. But you can get one of them on a discount. And that's what I would do if I'm the Jets in this draft, just to see what we've got in someone else. But I'm going to take Denzel Boston then here. Get another wide receiver. I think he pairs really nicely with Garrett Wilson. He's 6'4", 210. He's that traditional big body guy, but also he's shown that he's really good in more of that Drake London role, that you move him in the slot. You have him played close to the offensive line. You have him involved in the run game. That's what I foresee for Denzel Boston. Then you've got that great diversification of skill sets with the shiftier Garrett Wilson, the bigger bodied Denzel Boston. We're paving the way right now as the New York Jets to eventually put our quarterback in. The offensive line is looking really good. It's very young. Someone like an Amar Mambu has played really well this year, could play even better next year. So you've got Denzel Boston, you've got Garrett Wilson, you have a Breece Hall if he's still there after this year. Probably not. You've got a Caleb Downs. Let's just start building this team up, then add the quarterback. The Eagles at 29. Again, I get comments from Eagles fans saying, oh, we're not going to draft a wide receiver 3 at 29. And you know what? Fair enough. You know what? Fair enough. Do they need a guard? Are they going to take a Caden Proctor? They did really well with Mekhi Becton, who is another kind of behemoth offensive tackle who has moved inside. Caden Proctor, for a lot of people, projects more as a guard. That would work quite nicely. I think this is very much a Howie pick. Yeah, let's go with Caden Proctor. Push him inside, get your best 5 guys out there. He can play tackle. He's just so damn big. Caden Proctor is my 24th ranked player. I'm not huge on him just because he's the type of offensive line prospect that I don't love. 6'7", 360, 98th percentile in weight. Obviously unbelievable ankle, obviously unbelievable power, but also comes with that the downside of movement ability. It's just kind of basic physics. But someone like the Eagles don't run loads of outside zone like the 49ers do, for example. They have Saquon Barkley. They want to run it. Caden Proctor, I really like that fit. Eagles fans, let me know. The Broncos at 30. This would be Kenyon Sadiq if he was still on the board. They could go with another linebacker here. I do think it's a really good linebacker class. Anthony Hill and Deontay Lawson are right there for me as fringe first-round players. Jacob Rodriguez, potential Heisman candidate. Not someone that's going to be mad in the draft, though. Ooh. Quarterback? What are we going to do here at the Broncos? Definitely not running back, definitely not tight end. It's a 1 running back, 1 tight end in the first round kind of draft, 100%. I'd put 6 figures on that right now. It would only return like $2, but I'm still putting the money on because it's free money. They need a center. Connor Lew is a really good center, but he tore his ACL. Don't know if he'll be healthy for the start of the season. I guess we're just looking at the talent on the board then. They've got 2 cornerbacks. Do they want a third? Maybe not. This team is in a really good position. Their offensive line is completely set. All 5 of them are now under contract through the next few years. They've got Riley Moss at 1 cornerback position. They've obviously got the reigning defensive player of the year. What's his name? Pat Surtain at the other cornerback position. God, I'm blanking on these names here today. What are they going to do? I mean, this is BPA, but I just don't know who is the best player on my board. R. Mason Thomas? Make the defensive line even better? Maybe. Yeah, Blake Miller? No, they don't need a developmental tackle. What am I talking about? I am not loving how this board has fallen for the Broncos here. In a wide receiver? Chris Bell? Got Cortland Sutton. Chris Bell. Chris Bell is my 19th ranked player on my big board. I mean, let's stay true to it. 6'2", 220. He's got a little bit of that A.J. Brown about him. Cortland Sutton is definitely not a yak threat. Chris Bell, though, is definitely a yak threat. Over 400 yards after the catch this year. He had a great game versus Miami. He's got absolute wheels as well. I think he adds a bit of dynamism to this offense, and a role which this offense doesn't really have. They have their deep threats. They have their big body guy in Cortland Sutton. I like Chris Bell there. I've killed this draft. If I do say so myself, I think I've killed this. The Rams at 31. Man, a Rams-Patriots Super Bowl would kind of feed families. Drake May? Are they in the same? Am I being thick? No, yeah. Drake May, they're in different divisions, AFC, NFC. Drake May, Matthew Stafford, man, that's box office. I hope that happens. The Rams then at 31. Could this be a Norris Sellers? I've done this quite a lot of times for the Rams. Their first round pick, they took Mansour Delane. They've bolstered the defense there. They could look to go maybe with offensive line. They could look to go with Blake Miller, developmental tackle, really athletic. Yeah, let's go with Blake Miller here. Let's go with Blake Miller. He is someone that's a little bit higher on my board. He's a very athletic, he's 21 on my board, a very athletic offensive tackle prospect. The Anthony Richardson, I would say, of tackle prospects. 6'6", 315, 35-inch arms, elite athlete, great movement skills, experienced starter. I think he's played 3 years now on the offensive line for Clemson. Not kind of he's experienced, but still quite raw, unpolished, whatever word you want to use. Him in this offense, yeah, I love it. I love it. And then 32, the Patriots, the Super Bowl winning New England Patriots. Look, if Drake May gets a ring, guys, I'm going to be insufferable. So if you're not a Drake May truther, you ain't welcome here. 32. This would have been a good Blake Miller pick, unfortunately. Is this going to be a cornerback? Then I think so. Let's just see who's left on the board. Cassius Howell, no. Brandon Cisse, potentially. Colton Hood, potentially. Mason Thomas, also potentially. It's going to be cornerback or it's going to be edge. It's going to be cornerback and it's going to be edge. Which one? For me now, it's a choice between Mason Thomas and Brandon Cisse. We're going to take Brandon Cisse, the cornerback from South Carolina. As I said before, huge stock-up player this year. First rounder in my eyes, 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's got absolute wheels. He's got the coverage ability, 1 interception on the season, 6 pass breakups. He's going to be really good. He's going to play opposite Christian Gonzalez. I love it. You can see on the board now, my full mock draft. Let me know what you think. Honestly, guys, I love this draft. This could be my favorite one I've done yet. I love the trades. But this is the draft. People are going to agree. People are going to disagree. I want to hear it all in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Did I do right by your team? Did I do wrong by your team? And if you've got this far and you haven't subscribed, you definitely need to right now. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video. Do comment. But I've been your host, Dom Corbs. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'll see you on the next video.